Hey everyone, welcome to part 20 of this Dark Urge Tactician mode guide for Baldur's Gate 3. This part is all about the Gauntlet of Shar. We're going to be clearing the entire thing in this episode, so although it's a lot longer than most of my videos in this series, it's going to be really good, and I'm glad that you're here. Let's start off by heading back down toward the middle part of camp, and we're going to find where Wyll is because we want to add him to the team, and we're also going to add Astarion to the team. So here's Wyll, and now we're going to head on over toward the other side of camp so that we can meet with Astarion and add him to the team. Now that they're both on the team, I'm going to switch control over to Astarion, and then we're going to go through the level up process. Each of them has one level that we need to get through right now. So starting off with Astarion, he is now a level 3 ranger. We get a specialization as well as some other bonuses here. The spell that I'm going to choose is going to be Long Strider, which will increase a creature's movement speed by 3 meters until the long rest. For the specialization, I'm going to take Gloomstalker. This gives us Dread Ambusher. We gain a +3 bonus to initiative, and on the first turn of combat, our movement speed increases by 3 meters, and we can make an additional attack that deals a 1d8 damage, as well as Superior Dark Vision so we can see further. Dread Ambusher Hide is just another thing that rogues can already do, but Umbral Shroud is nice because we can wrap ourselves in shadows and become invisible while obscured for up to 10 turns. That Umbral Shroud ability will come in very handy soon. Let's go ahead, lock that in, and then we're going to have Wyll level up. He is going to stay right in that Warlock lane because we do get a new feat available for him. So let's go ahead and check that out. We're going to first off choose a spell. I'm going to go with Wall of Fire. It's just a really good way to do lots of damage to enemies even if they're not close to one another. And then for the feat, I'm going to choose Ability Improvement, and I'm going to throw a few points into Charisma, bring that up to 19 so that we're even better off in combat and with talking, which is going to be very important in just a few moments. Let's head out of camp, and we're going to find ourselves right back where we were before. We are just east of the House of Healing, but we want to go ultimately a little bit more toward the north where the quest marker is. If you weren't here, all you have to do is travel over to the Moonrise Towers waypoint and just run straight north up through this graveyard area. Just keep following the trail along past all of these mausoleums and the graves. Eventually you'll get out to the north end of things, and this is one entrance on the left to the House of Healing. You'll instead go up these stairs to the right side. Before we head all the way up the stairs, we'll make sure that Astarion and Shadowheart are in our team. We'll save the game and then head up the stairs where we will get into a cutscene with Raphael.
Our hero thought but of treasure ahead, did not consider the peace of the dead. Through the dark he went creeping, and awoke what was sleeping. A new grave they dug, which he himself fed.
Are you saying there's treasure ahead?
Ah, greed. My favorite virtue. I've grown quite fond of you, you know, in my way. I thought it only fair to warn you about the dangers ahead.
What dangers are those?
Oh, we both know they are soon to be revealed. It would be pointless of me to try to bar you from entering. But I can set the scene, as it were. Prepare you for your role.
Fine, paint me a picture.
There is a stage down in the dark upon which a great drama has suspended itself in time. Its actors dwell there still, mired in the languor of their long, tired scenes. If you, however, through the dark, go creeping and awake what is sleeping, chances are many more graves than yours alone will soon be fed.
Persuasion. Paint me a clearer picture than that. This will give us a skill check looking for a 10. You can use whatever bonuses you want to, like the guidance cantrip from Shadowheart. Let's go ahead and roll that so we can continue.
Very well. There is a creature that lurks in silence and shadow. A creature who, like me, is very much of the infernal persuasion. Should it make its way out through the very doors you are about to brazenly swing open, you'll have unleashed a pestilence upon this realm. In truth, it is carnage incarnate. So if you meet the devil of which I speak, kill it. Consider no other course of action.
Insight, you're still only telling me half of what you really know. I can tell. This choice will give us another skill check looking for a 10. Let's roll this one and then keep going.
This creature and I go back a long way. I admit it would be in my best interest as well should it remain trapped in the dark. Or misplace its head, perhaps. I should not relish its reacquaintance. Let's leave it at that.
Fair enough.
You have it in you to author a thrilling finale if you heed this warning. Do not underestimate this opponent. At best, you will have the blink of an eye to strike. Strike first, strike true, defy the odds, for they are distinctly in its favor. That much I owe the bastard to concede. And don't think I've forgotten your tale, Astarion. When the beast is dead, I'll consider that payment enough to translate those scars of yours.
A fairer deal than I expected.
You wound me, Spawn. I always deal fairly. And will close this particular deal soon enough. Vanquish the beast, and all will be revealed.
Alright then, after the cutscene, we're going to continue to head toward the north. Our entrance into the mausoleum is just ahead of us on the left-hand side, so let's run over there and go inside. Now that we're inside, we're going to continue straight toward the north. There's going to be a very large iron fence in front of us. We can open that up and then just keep running all the way toward the north end of this room. You'll run past some sarcophagi and some other areas around here. Don't worry about any of that. When you get down into this section with the journal updates, then you want to turn the camera around. Now go to the right side of the screen. There's going to be the Moonrise Towers painting, and there's a button right on the bottom of that painting. So inspect the area, and you should be able to find the button. If it doesn't pop up, just search it, and then choose it from the menu here. So push that button. Now run over toward the east side of the room. There's going to be the grief portrait here with another button that we want to push. Don't worry about any of the traps in here. They won't go off as long as you follow this method. And then go to the other side of the room with the general painting. We want to push the button over here too, which will open up the doors and granting us passage through to the other side. Let's run all the way down to the other side here where we can interact with this traversal gem once all of our party members are standing on the platform. This will trigger a cutscene where we're going to be heading down into the bottom part of the Gauntlet of Shar. Now that we've arrived at the bottom part, we're going to run straight down the north hallway all the way to the end of it. There's going to be a very large circular door on the other side of this hallway. So when you get over there, then interact with it, which will cause it to open up, and you'll hear the voice of Shar talking to you. So you can listen to it if you want to, or just continue on. Now normally this room is a big puzzle, but there's a very quick and easy way to get past it. All you have to do is have a character who knows Misty Step. Separate them from the rest of your party and then activate that Misty Step, like what I can do with Shadowheart here with the Nightwalker boots, and she can then use the Misty Step to go straight to the Umbral gem in the middle of the room, and then we just have to use the Umbral gem to deactivate the trap, and we can continue on from here without having to go through the rest of the puzzle in this room. Let's continue on now with the rest of our party put together. We're going to continue on north until we get to the next large circular door, and we can open up this stone door so that we can go through to the other side. Before we go all the way up the stairs, it's probably a good idea just to save the game. It does auto-save here, but if you want to make a manual save, you certainly can do that as well. And once the game is saved, then we can continue all the way toward the north and go up the stairs. There is going to be a cutscene that plays out once you're spotted up here. If you want to pass by it a little bit differently, you can also crouch, and then you can continue on. We want to get into a good position, kind of right in the middle of this area. So now that we've been spotted, a cutscene will play out.
You do not belong here.
Your mind upends. Somehow, in the decayed soup of this creature's brain, a tadpole lives. Another presence nurtures it, manipulates it like a puppet.
No, you do not belong. This is the Dark Lady's house. She has no use for old, faithless bones.
You plunder. You meddle. You upset my plans. Leave.
Rogue, meddling or trespassing I'd accept, but blundering, spare me your insults, Bone Pile.
Bones! They are more than bones. More than flesh. More than skin, blood, hair, and piss. They are more. They are mine. Now leave before... Stupid worm-infested cockhead! You have awoken the shadows! My forces are split. The defenses are thin. Rally on me. A wall of bone and blade against the darkness. Now!
We're thrown into a fight and we're surrounded by enemies, but luckily we do have some allies on our side. You can tell who's your ally by looking at the portraits on the top of the screen. Anyone with a yellow portrait is going to be your ally, and everyone in red is your enemy. So starting off with Astarion, we do have the new Dread Ambusher ability because we're a Gloomstalker. We can use that just to do an extra attack right at the beginning of combat. The main thing that you want to do is try to take out these Umbral tremors that are scattered around. There's going to be 3 of them, one on the right side, which is toward the east, one on the north side, and then one over on the west side on the far end. We're going to start by attacking the one on the east and try to get rid of that. These things will continuously spawn in new enemies, so it's a good idea to take them out early so that you won't have to deal with the increased waves going on. And then we want to, of course, take out the enemies as well in this area. So let's move the Dark Urge forward a little bit, and then we can have him use one of his ranged attacks so that we can attack not only the Justiciar Soul Hunter nearby, but then we can follow that up with our offhand range attack. Should be enough to take out this tremor, and now we don't have to worry about it anymore. Now it's going to be our allies' turn to act. They will take some damage here from the enemies. Luckily, the enemies do like to focus on our allies if possible, which saves us from taking extra damage here. So now it's going to be Shadowheart's turn. You want to keep in mind to not do radiant damage to these enemies because they have something called Radiant Retort, which will hurt us whenever we do radiant damage to them. So this is not a good time to try to use any of your radiant spells or anything like that. In fact, what we want to do is try to not use any of our spell slots at all if we can help it. We're going to focus mainly on using cantrips if possible because we want to save our spell slots for later on. Now with Wyll, let's use some Eldritch Blast. We can aim and knock this enemy back a little bit and do lots of damage and probably even take him out. You can see that extra charisma boost that we just gave him is going to be very handy for dealing extra damage to these enemies. And we're just going to kind of stay in the middle here, waiting for enemies to come closer to Shadowheart so that she can use her attack of opportunity to do some good damage to them. She will take some damage, but that's okay. She's got some good armor and some good health, so we don't have to worry too much about her going down. We can always heal ourselves as well. So Shadowheart's set up to be a really good character for us at this point. We'll have our allies do some damage to the enemy, but nothing really of significance here. The other enemies may try to attack you if there's no other allies around. You don't have to worry too much about them though, they go down pretty easily even on Tactician mode here. As we close out the first turn, it's going to be the Umbral Tremor's turn to do something, and you'll see that one of them is going to summon in a new enemy with that Radiant Retort activated. So again, don't use any Radiant damage on them, instead just use any of your normal melee attacks or cantrips that don't do Radiant damage at all. Let's continue on our attack. We want to make sure that we're taking out these Umbral Tremors and then focusing on the other enemies around here. So now it's the Dark Urge's turn. We can hit it with an advantage here as we shoot from our invisibility because we were able to get a kill the last turn. And that's another Umbral Tremor gone. We're going to retreat back a little bit here. We're still invisible because we just took out another enemy. And we're going to kind of just set ourselves up on the east side of the room, and then we ultimately want the enemies to come toward us. That's kind of the typical method that I like to do. I want enemies to run toward me so that I can attack at a distance while they can't do anything to me. We're going to heal up a little bit with Shadowheart, just making sure that her health stays in a good spot, and then we'll have the enemy be able to run around, and sometimes they can attack, sometimes they can't. It all depends on whether they're melee or ranged. And then it's going to be Wyll's turn to attack once again. So once it's his turn, we're going to have him once again use Eldritch Blast, focusing on using all those cantrips. We can hit this Justiciar Avenger pretty hard and knock him back. Unfortunately, the second attack missed, but we did push him back, and that's actually a pretty good thing for us because now he's got to run towards Shadowheart again, and then she'll be able to use another one of her attacks of opportunity as soon as he gets close enough. So we're setting ourselves up to always be able to hit them when they come close to us, so it's like we get another attack in even when it's not our turn. And that's a nice pairing that you can do between Wyll and Shadowheart. Well, now that we're out of allies, all the enemies are going to be turning their attention toward us, which is a little bit dangerous, but I think that we're in a pretty good position at this point. We do have a couple of the enemies already injured a bit, so it shouldn't be too hard to take them all out going forward. There's not a whole lot more that I need to say about this battle because I've already talked about the main important parts, taking out those Umbral Tremors first, and then focusing on the guards after that. I've cleared out the east side of the room so I can pull all the characters back behind Shadowheart. We'll let her be the person who takes the brunt of all of the attacks as the enemy has to run toward us to do any melee damage, and we'll just stand behind her using range attacks with the other characters, whether it's shooting arrows with the Dark Urge and Astarion or using cantrips like Eldritch Blast with Wyll just to do damage while maintaining our spell slots. So with that, I'm just going to let this play out, and I will see you at the end of the fight.
Time to deal some punishment.
Just like old times. Feel their anguish.
Never a dull moment. Better be cautious. Don't mind if I do.
Bleed for me. Take you.
finding my way.
On the hunt.
They're dying for me. All of them.
Got to concentrate.
This is my time.
Leave no trace. On my way.
I wonder if this is worth the cost. Into the bloody fray. That's a friendly-looking shadow. What do we have here?
Let's finish this. Take you.
On the victor's path.
I don't really know what it is, but sometimes down here in the Gauntlet of Shar, it can be very difficult to be able to actually hit enemies. Even while you're hiding, it just says path is interrupted. Not really sure why that is. It seems like we have all kinds of advantages and no disadvantages here. So if you're not able to get it, then try to just move yourself into melee range. It'll make it a little bit easier. There's not a lot that I can do with Astarion though on this turn, so I'm just going to have him move up a little bit, and then I'm going to switch it over to the Dark Urge, who actually can do something in this fight.
Another fight. Let's go.
So let's move the Dark Urge up into melee range. That will allow me to use a sneak attack melee against the enemy because Shadowheart is within melee range of him, and that will end the fight. So we eliminated all those enemies. We're doing pretty well health-wise. It looks like Shadowheart did take a little bit of damage as well as Astarion, but ultimately they're all okay. No one died or anything in that fight. Now let's head on over toward the east. We're going to run along the hallway here, all the way down the stairs. When you get to the bottom, it's going to be broken. All you have to do is jump over the gap, and then you can follow the Displacer Beast down the stairs toward the north, and then he's going to head on over into the room to the right. Now we're not going to go in there just yet. Instead, we're going to stay right outside of it. Now let's change up who we're controlling. We're going to choose Shadowheart and Wyll, and they will form their own subgroup of only 2 people. And we want to control Wyll. Make sure that you save the game before going into this next part. Now let's keep going toward the east. We're going to go into the room full of invisible enemies. We could have a very difficult fight, or we can just talk our way through this. So I'm going to do the talking method.
What's this? Fresh entertainment? But you're too fresh for this place, aren't you? There's a whiff of the surface to you. A new arrival, then. You burrow too deep, little
Put that thing down. I'm here to talk.
I don't talk to prey. There's something else, almost hidden by your fear stink. Cherries. Musk. And sulfur. Raphael! I can smell him all over you. Where is he?
Wait, you know Raphael?
That perfume trickster swindled me. Trapped me.
He wants you dead.
Where is he? Spit it out. Now!
Careful. I'm not sure we want Raphael as an enemy.
Let's share our experiences about Raphael. Perhaps we can help each other.
Bargaining, are you? A Karator warlord once tried the same. I made him watch as I ate his concubines in young, then fashioned a codpiece from his skull. You can't help. It's not just walls that keep me here. Not the traps, the dark, or the creatures it hides. Something stronger holds me. A contract. Either I fulfill the contract, die trying, or forfeit my freedom. If I leave this place now, I'll become Raphael's slave.
Warlock, I happen to be an expert in such deals, and there's always a loophole.
Raphael is no foolish story devil. His mind is different, sneaky. Listen. Spill all the blood sworn to the night. Silence or prayers. Smother each right. Wander Shar's halls, hungry to slay. Leave no justice here, alive to obey. Leave none to hear it, then be set free. This song is your oath. Swear it to me. Ah!
Well, that explains where all the Dark Justiciars went. You feel a chuckle of crackling fire in the back of your mind. It seems your patron enjoys a cleverly constructed contract, especially one with a built-in loophole. The song's last couplet is a clause that's nearly impossible to fulfill.
That's it.
So he's responsible for the carnage down here. All those Dark Justiciars. Slaughtered.
Warlock, a pact made from a song? Quite quaint for a devil, I must say.
Parchment can burn. Oral agreements aren't worth the tongues they're waggled out upon. A song lingers. Raphael made double sure of that. I can't forget the damn thing so long as my word's not finished. I did as instructed, but the song still rattles about in my head. The contract still stands somehow. If I break it, I will become Raphael's slave forever. Anyway, enough prattle. The lyrics are clear. All who hear the song must die. Time to die.
You feel your patron's prickling flame at the back of your mind, and its diabolic words on your tongue. It wants to help.
You may be tempted just to end the sequence by saying the Fiend Persuasion choice, however that's not the best way because it doesn't deal with all the enemies in the room, so instead we're going to say Persuasion, the lyrics are a trick, you've always had an audience, your followers, get rid of them. This will give us a skill check of 16. I would not recommend using Dark One's own luck just yet. Hold off for a couple more skill checks for now when it's more difficult, but we're going to roll it now and then keep going from here.
The Merigons. They barely have a thought to share among themselves. But they do have ears. Kill yourselves. Back to the hells with you. is wrong.
Persuasion, you're not finished yet. The Displacer can hear you, can't she? Kill her. Here's a skill check looking for a 21. I would recommend doing a quick save just to make it safer for you.
Kill Nessa. Stay very still. My beauty. I still hear it!
Persuasion, exactly. Kill yourself, complete the contract, and you'll be reborn in Avernus, free. This will also give us a skill check with 21. Now is the time that you want to use Dark One's own luck, just to make it much more likely that you'll succeed here.
If you're wrong about this, I'll claw my way out of Avernus and eat you alive. Contract be damned. Nicely played, Raphael. Bastard.
That silver tongue of yours is dangerous. Bravo. I can't believe you actually pulled that off.
We get an inspiration point called Haunted One Killer Poetry by tricking him into killing himself. It also means that we don't have to fight any of the creatures around this area, which is safer for us. Unfortunately, we don't get the experience by going through the battle, but we can still get all the loot that we normally would. So what we want to do is first run forward, grab the Umbral gem off the stairs, and then we can climb up the broken pathway here all the way up to the top. When you get up here, then you're going to turn around and run over toward the north. You'll find his body, or I guess a big pile of ashes, called Yurgir on the ground. Make sure you grab the Hellfire hand crossbow, which is a nice hand crossbow for us, allowing us to possibly inflict burning when we hit a creature while we are hiding or invisible, which for the Dark Urge is pretty much all the time. Make sure that you actually transfer the Umbral gem and the Hellfire hand crossbow over to the Dark Urge. That way, when we take Wyll out of the team in just a moment, then the Dark Urge will still have it. Otherwise, you'd have to go back to camp, and then it would just waste a couple steps trying to get that back off of him and into the Dark Urge's inventory. So once we're all settled here, then we can head on down. If you wanted to, you could loot the Marigons at the top, but it's not really necessary. I would recommend turning left, and over here there's going to be the Dark Justiciar gauntlets. Those are really nice, so you can grab those, and then we're going to head on out and rejoin the rest of our team. So let's party up again so that we're all traveling together, and then we're going to keep on going from here. The first thing that I want to do is to equip that new Hellfire hand crossbow. So let's go into the inventory. I'm going to equip that into the ranged main hand, and in the offhand, I'm going to put the hand crossbow +1 that we were just holding. So that gives us a nice little damage boost, and now we have the possibility of inflicting burning as well. Then we're going to head to camp. What we want to do is to take Wyll out of the team and put Gale into the team. So I'm just going to speed through that really quick, and then we'll be ready to head back out and into the Gauntlet of Shar. Okay, now what we want to do is to head back the way that we came. So we're going to run up the south stairs, and then when we get to the top, there's going to be a little gap or a broken spot over on the right side. We have to align ourselves pretty particularly just to jump over this a little bit. So try to find the right spot here to jump up, and then the rest of your party members should be able to follow no problem. Just take a second though to confirm that they're coming up. You don't want to leave someone behind by accident. So now that the whole party's here, we're going to run around past all of the enemies that we defeated already. As we run toward the west, we're going to head over on the left side of this big table, and there's going to be a gilded chest over here. We can open that up for some goodies, including least expected, a new bow that while we're obscured, we will have an additional 1d4 bonus to our ranged attack damage. So that's something that could be good, but I'm not going to make any changes at this time. Let's continue to head toward the west. As we go down the stairs, we're going to get a new waypoint over on the left side. This is the Gauntlet of Shar waypoint, and then we'll keep heading up the stairs all the way to the west. There's going to be another long staircase ahead of you, but you want to be very careful when you get up to the top of this because you do not want to be seen. So we're going to crouch down, and then we're going to save the game, so just in case something goes wrong, we can always revert back to this point. Let's continue moving forward while still crouched so that we can go over toward the north or over toward the right, and then keep looping around and try to get as close to these enemies as you can without being seen. The goal is to actually get Gale as close to the western side of the room as possible before the fight here breaks out. So let's switch over to Gale so that he will move forward, and then he will be the one to actually trigger the cutscene here as we move forward.
You prowl my battleground. Why? Are you friend? Foe? Thieving scavenger?
You find yourself in a dead, putrid skull, somehow hosting a tadpole amongst a squirm of maggots. Another presence lurks within, manipulating the corpse like a puppet.
A friend. An uninvited friend. I did not request help.
Z'rell sent me, looking for someone called Balthazar.
Did she now? Enter. I will see if I have any use for you. Stinking pile of ogre afterbirth! The quakes herald the shadows. They found me.
A fight breaks out, and as you can see, the battlefield is littered with the Umbral tremors on the ground. The goal is once again to take those out before dealing with the enemies. Now, luckily, even though there's a lot of those different Umbral tremors on the ground and they'll be spawning multiple enemies, we have a lot of allies to help us out. But we can have even more if we run Gale forward toward the big door on the west side of the wall, and then we can use the knock ability to open it up. And now what we can do is to switch over to one of our other characters like the Dark Urge, and we'll be able to have him walk through, and the goal is to get as close as we can. If you get caught in combat, you'll definitely want to use your dash to run forward and then actually open up the stone door. What that's going to do is alert all of the enemies inside the room to the battle, including Balthazar and Flesh, who are very powerful here, as well as some other ghouls and other things that will help us out. So they're all going to run out here, and then they will all do basically all the fighting for us that we need. All the enemies are going to be primarily focused on attacking Balthazar and his minions here, which allow us to do what we want to do in this fight. What that's going to be is to hang back, and then we want to take out some of those Umbral tremors. We'll leave the enemies alone for the most part because we want them to fight each other. We want our yellow portrait allies to battle against the red portrait enemies, and hopefully they will weaken each other enough that we can swoop in right toward the end of the fight and actually kill off every single person in this fight. And that's going to be really nice for us. We get to skip a whole separate fight, and that makes things very easy for us. So now I'm controlling Astarion. I attacked the Umbral Tremor once, and now I'm in combat, so I can use on the first turn Dread Ambusher ranged, and that should be enough to finish off this Umbral Tremor. And then what I want to do is to focus on another one nearby. We don't want enemies spawning close to us, so work on the closest proximity Umbral Tremors that you can, and then start to work your way out from there. So I'll attack this one. There is one very nearby, but I'm not too concerned about that because I can attack those and get rid of it fairly easily. So now it's going to be the Dark Urge's turn. Let's use a normal ranged attack to attack the Umbral Tremor right close to us. we'll hit it with advantage, and that should be enough to take it out and also leave us invisible. So we've taken out a couple Umbral Tremors already. We're going to continue on with that moving forward with Shadowheart. Just keep in mind that some of the enemies may still have that Radiant Retort, so try to avoid Radiant damage for now. We want to save our spell slots as much as possible by using our cantrips like Firebolt, and that can do some decent damage to take out another one of the Umbral Tremors. So you can see the enemies are starting to spawn in. We got a new Umbral Tremor really close to us, so that's going to be our next priority, trying to take that one out as quickly as possible. It's Gale's turn, so we're going to run a little ways away, and then we're going to save on a spell slot by just using Ray of Frost. The main thing is to not use your spell slots until toward the end of the fight. That way we can unload our most powerful abilities and as much damage as possible to Balthazar and the other remaining allies once the fight is just about done, and then we can betray them, and that should make things pretty easy for us. Now it's going to be our allies' turn. They will mainly focus on the enemies that spawn in, which is really good for us. We wanted them to be the enemy's main target so that we do not take any more damage in this fight than absolutely necessary. So let's have Balthazar move out now. We don't control him, but he'll do a good job of taking out the enemies as well. He can also cast Cloud Kill, which is a big AoE that damages things inside. Flesh is big and very powerful, but he's also pretty slow. It will take him a couple turns just to get close enough to the enemy to do anything. Now is the Dark Urge. Let's use our ranged attack from advantage because we're invisible, and that will be enough to take out that Umbral Tremor, and we will remain invisible here. Now as Shadowheart, we're going to do the same thing as we did before. Let's run forward, and then we're going to use our Firebolt just to do some damage to the faraway Umbral Tremor. Now it's Astarion's turn, so we're going to move him a little bit over toward the left just so that he can get a better line of sight on the Umbral Tremor over here. We'll attack it, and then we'll do some good damage to it. We'll save it for the next round, though, where we actually finish taking that thing out. Cloud Kill is effective at getting rid of some of the Justiciar enemies over here, but the allies that Balthazar has will not be affected by it, so it's good for them and really bad for the enemy, which is really good for us. Now with Gale, we're going to have him move forward just a little bit, and then he's going to use the Ray of Frost just to once again attack the different Umbral Tremors over here. So this one's already damaged a little bit. We're going to attack this, and then we'll do some more damage to it. Now, those Umbral Tremors, they will disappear over time if they spawn in enough enemies, so you don't really have to take them all out, but we just don't want to get overwhelmed by the enemies. So we'll let the allies attack the enemies, try to take them out for us, and we're going to focus on getting rid of most of those Umbral Tremors, but we do want to keep some of them still around to keep spawning in new enemies for our allies to fight. That way they're distracted, and then we can fight them without having any of the allies or enemies turn on us. So we'll be able to damage the enemy and the allies to eliminate them before the fight is over without really having to worry about anyone attacking us directly. Now, I think that this fight is really split into two parts. I've already mentioned that there's a part where we start attacking the allies. That's going to be part 2 of this fight. Part 1 is just the Umbral Tremor management. We'll get rid of some of those, and then we'll eventually go over to part 2 of the fight, and that's going to be fighting the allies. Part 2 is going to start at the 47-minute mark of this video, so feel free to skip ahead. In the meantime, I'm just going to be attacking Umbral Tremors, taking out a few of them that are close by, just so that I don't have any enemies spawning in too close to me, but I'm going to keep the other Umbral Tremors active toward the far side of the room. That will keep spawning in enemies for our allies to fight, and then at the 47-minute mark, like I said, we'll start to attack our allies, and we're going to be taking them out at the same time as the enemies. So feel free to skip ahead, and I'll see you in a few minutes at the 47-minute mark.
swiftly now.
Things have gone really well for the first portion of this fight, so I'm just going to save the game to lock in that progress. Most of the Umbral Tremors are gone, but a few of them still remain to give new enemies for our allies to fight. Many of our allies have been weakened by the enemy's attack, which is perfect for us. We're now moving on into phase 2 of the fight, where we can attack our allies, and you can see this reconstituted marksman. He doesn't have a whole lot of health, so we're going to attack him a couple times, and ultimately we want to take them out. Now at Shadowheart's turn, we're going to have her use a firebolt against that reconstituted marksman, and he's going to be gone now too. What's really nice is that our allies don't care that we attack them. We can shoot them directly, we can cast spells, it doesn't really matter. They won't turn hostile toward us. They're too worried about the enemies. So what we want to do is just to make sure that we are attacking our allies just as much, if not more, than we're attacking the enemies, because we don't want all of the enemies to be killed. That will end the fight, and then our allies will regain health, and then we'll just have to kill them later on. This whole thing that we're doing now is actually to save us from a very big fight a little bit later on, where we'd have to fight Balthazar and we'd be at a big disadvantage. So we don't want to do that. Instead, we want to take them out while they're distracted, and that's going to be a whole lot easier for us than having a big ambush later on against us. So now what we're going to do is to start unleashing some of our more powerful spells like Wall of Fire. I just want to make sure that I'm lining it up in a way that I can do maximum damage to the maximum number of enemies and allies at the same time. So I just so happen to be able to put up a Wall of Fire that includes both Balthazar and Flesh and a lot of the enemies and allies along the way too. So let's cast that, and then you'll see we're doing lots of damage, and now when the enemies and allies begin their next turn, they're going to take additional fire damage. I'm going to try to do an offhand melee attack just with Gale against Balthazar. Unfortunately, it does end up missing, so it was a wasted opportunity, but it was better than just not doing anything at all. Now it's the enemy's turn to fight. They're going to still be focused on our allies for the most part, because they are closer than what our other party members are. So they're going to soak up damage, which is really good for us. That means that it's even easier for us to kill off our allies. So we have our enemies and allies fighting each other, and we're swooping in as the third party, and we will just indiscriminately kill everything around us. And that Wall of Fire is very powerful to be able to just take out enemies on their next turn, or weaken them more. You'd think that Balthazar would be the smartest of all of them and would start attacking us, but he's still good about putting Cloud Kill out where we are not. He's still going to be focusing on fighting only the enemies and leaving us alone. He can also summon in additional help, which isn't so good for us. It's another thing that the enemy can attack, but ultimately we'll have to kill it as well. So now what we want to do is to use the Dark Urge to do some fighting, and we're going to make him just hide with his cunning action, and then we can use our sneak attack to attack them from a distance. So I'm going to be focusing on Balthazar. He's by far more dangerous compared to Flesh. so try to take out Balthazar first. If you're lucky, you can even break his concentration, getting rid of his cloud kill. We're letting him go through all of his spell slots and kind of waste all of his magic abilities, and then we'll also be able to not be affected by the cloud kill if we have to move into a certain area. With Astarion now, we're going to move forward a little bit, and then we want him to continue attacking the enemy as well. So let's get him close enough, and then he's going to use the Failure Alluve Shriek ability that will also allow us to do additional lightning damage to enemies around here. So if we want to switch over to Gale and have him start to attack with his magic missile build, we can do lots of additional damage with him now that he's paired up with Astarion using the Failure Alluve. With Shadowheart, we have a couple options here. We could either try to go the route of casting a Guardian of Faith over here, and that would allow us to just have another ally on our side who could potentially do some damage. I still wouldn't recommend using Spirit Guardians at this point because you don't want to get hit with that Radiant Retort damage coming back your way. So if possible, I would say try to use the Guardian of Faith to get somewhere near the enemy, and that way it will be able to do additional damage. We're still focusing on Balthazar, so if you can find a good spot to plop down that Guardian of Faith nearby him, that's going to be beneficial. Even if it's in the fire, that's okay. We still just want to do additional damage to Balthazar, and we have the ability to summon in a spiritual weapon as well, and that's going to be good because these are giving enemies more things to attack that aren't our main party members, and they can do damage indiscriminately as well. Let's wrap up our turn, and then the enemy Umbral Tremors will probably spawn in some additional enemies for us to fight. Now at this point, it's a little bit of a mistake. I was mostly just experimenting to see what we can do to attack Flesh and do lots of damage. He's within that Singing Sword Shriek area, so I thought I could do some bonus damage to him with Magic Missile. Unfortunately, Flesh happens to be immune to lightning damage, so I didn't benefit very much from that. Now you'll see that the enemy has a chance to attack, and they're going to focus on that spiritual weapon. They want to take out things on Tactician mode that typically have the lowest armor class. So in this case, they're going to go after weaker things like that spiritual weapon. Way better for them to attack that than for them to attack one of our main party members. Now the Guardian of Faith will attack Balthazar, doing some decent damage to him. Now our, what I should say, former allies are doing is attacking whatever's nearby them. Right around the time that I hit Balthazar and I broke his concentration, that's when they switched from allies to enemies. But it doesn't really matter because they're still going to focus on fighting each other. They're going to leave us alone for right now. So you can see they're trying to use Ray of Sickness. I don't want to block that with Counterspell because it's not aimed at me. I only want to block the things that would damage my party members. I can let whatever spells go if they're aimed at another person. The spiritual weapon has the fly ability, so if you're trapped, you can always just fly over things and then get close to one of the enemies. So I'm just going to stay on Balthazar's trail, and I want to just keep attacking him as much as possible. Critical miss is a little unfortunate, but it's okay because we still have another target for the enemies to focus on with that spiritual weapon in play that isn't us. Let's move forward a little bit with that Dark Urge. We can also hide, and as we get closer, then we'll be able to attack with that sneak attack range just to do some additional damage to Flesh. While we are focusing most of the damage onto Balthazar, we definitely want to also be hurting Flesh along the way. That way we don't kill Balthazar and then Flesh kills all of the lesser enemies around here, and then we're stuck fighting a very powerful monster with full health. So try to take out Flesh as quickly as possible right after you take out Balthazar as well. Try to split the damage a little bit, most of it going over to Balthazar, but some going over to Flesh as well. Now with Shadowheart, I'm going to put down a Glyph of Warding Fire. I can just drop it right over where the enemies are. I want to put it in a spot that will do damage to as many enemies as possible. It's quite a large area, so I can actually get a lot of enemies. Now normally when they walked over it, it would activate, but if you put it down where an enemy already is, it automatically triggers it, and that will do lots of damage to everything around there. We still have our spiritual weapon, so there's no need to summon another one. Let's switch it on over to Astarion for his turn. Let's move him up so that he's within that Singing Sword Shriek range of a lot of the enemies here, and I'll just use a normal ranged attack, not on Flesh, but on this Justiciar Soul Hunter behind him. That will be enough to take him down, and then that's one more source of damage I don't have to worry about in case he tried to attack me instead. The enemy will summon in more reinforcements, but that's okay, we're not too worried about it. If you look at the portraits at the top, I think it's actually pretty funny that we're all doing very well on health on our team. I don't think that we've even been attacked once this whole time, but everyone else is pretty well damaged. I'm going to set up another wall of fire at the top, and that will do enough to take out some of the enemies here, either on this turn or when they begin the next turn. It's really good to use that on large crowds because you can get initial damage and follow-up damage on the next turn. So now the enemy is going to be running around. They still want to keep attacking Flesh, which is totally cool with me. I'd rather have him be attacked than one of our party members. So now the enemy will start their turn. They're going to be burning. Another time that I don't want to use a counterspell reaction because Balthazar is still attacking the enemy. I don't need to block this one either because the enemy will spawn in right inside that wall of fire and he's going to have a pretty bad day. With that spiritual weapon, I'm going to keep up with trying to attack and harass Balthazar. Meanwhile, Flesh will take out one of the enemies so we don't have to worry about him anymore. Now with the Dark Urge, we're going to attack this Justiciar Soul Hunter. He's a little bit too close for our liking. We just want to make sure that we stay out of his line of sight, and then we also want to be crouched down so that we can attack him with an advantage while we're hiding. So we'll use our Cunning Action Hide, and then we're going to hit him with a sneak attack range. That'll do some good damage to him, and then we can have Shadowheart run forward. I'll try to do a main hand attack, but I'll end up missing with this one, unfortunately. But that's okay, because she has that Polearm Master ability, she can also follow that up with a Polearm Clout. I'll hit him with that, and then that will also allow me to trigger the Divine Strike Poison for a little extra damage. Now it's going to be the enemy's turn to try to do some damage on Flesh, but he's pretty tanky. He's just going to shrug that off. With Astarion, I'm going to also move him out of the enemy's line of sight so that he can also be hiding and then attack with an advantage with the sneak attack. We're also within that Singing Sword Shriek radius, so we can do some additional lightning damage when we attack from here. So let's do that, and then he'll be down to only 12 health. We can finish him off on the next turn with Gale. He's going to use his magic missiles. We're going to use a level 3 here. We're going to put 1 or perhaps 2 just to be safe down on him, and then we're going to throw the rest over into Flesh. And that's going to do a significant amount of damage to Flesh and just straight up take down the enemy that we targeted first. So now you'll see that Flesh is going to rage out because he is low on health, so he's in berserk status now. We're going to just run away a little bit just to keep our distance and make sure that the enemies that are closest to him are the ones that get attacked. The Wall of Fire takes out another ghoul, and then Balthazar stupidly tries to bring another one in right on top of the fire, who instantly gets killed. We won't counterspell this attack because it's going against an enemy, and now it's going to be the Spiritual Weapon's turn again to just keep harassing Balthazar. This one actually does hit and does 12 damage to him. Flesh will finish off this enemy now, and all that's really left is just Balthazar and Flesh. They're going to kind of regroup over by where that spiritual weapon is, which is perfect. We definitely don't want them to be attacking us here. Now that it's only Balthazar and Flesh, Balthazar is really our primary opponent here. We need to get rid of him because he can attack at a distance, he can use AoEs, he's just way more dangerous. So let's go ahead and try to attack him and do as much damage as possible to eliminate him before he gets another turn. Flesh is very specific in who he will attack. He always has to go after the closest enemy to him. So with that, we can manipulate him to not attacking us at all. We don't have that same ability with Balthazar, which is why it is very important to eliminate Balthazar first. So now it's going to be Shadowheart's turn. Got a couple options here. What I ultimately want to do is to use Firebolt. I'm going to take a very risky shot here. It's with a disadvantage, only a 20% chance of hitting. But amazingly, it pulls through and does a lot of damage to him, and that sets us up for a nice kill the next turn. Let's move Astarion up, and then I have a couple choices for what I want to do with him. I could either do just a normal ranged attack to do some damage against him, but I thought that maybe instead I would try the Ensnaring Strike ability. That way he wouldn't be able to move, and if he can't move closer to me, he can't do any damage as well. Unfortunately, that Ensnare did not work, but that's okay. Now moving on with Gale, we want to get him as close as possible, and then we're going to have him use Magic Missile. If Shadowheart had missed, I would use a few more Magic Missiles just to guarantee the kill on Balthazar, because the Call of the Weak would activate, and so I'll do a couple into him and a couple into Flesh. When Balthazar dies, then the Dark Urge gets an inspiration point called Haunted One, bleeding the corpse dry, as well as 95 more experience. So Balthazar is eliminated, he can't bother us anymore. All we have now is Flesh to deal with, and he's not going to do a whole lot to us either. He's going to be focused on trying to attack the spiritual weapon right close to him, so we're just going to keep that right up in his face, and he will have the chance to take that out, and now he's going to turn his attention toward us. So he'll start running our way, but he can't do anything to us for the rest of this turn, and the goal is to take him out as quickly as possible now. We're going to move just out of his range of sight, and then I'm going to hide with the Dark Urge. Unfortunately, I am for some reason just not quite able to get a shot at him. The path is interrupted by something along the way. I can't really tell what that is right now. I can't get it to work. So I'll just pass it over to Shadowheart. I could have her do her normal main hand attack, but instead I'm going to put up those Spirit Guardians that I love so much, and that will ensure that I can do damage not only this turn, but also following turns as he tries to get close to us. And I can also hit him with an opportunity attack if he does run close to me. So I've got a good opportunity to hit him a couple times. I'm going to put out another one of those spiritual weapons on the ground just to give him something else to focus on if necessary, and then we want to pull out our party members as much as possible. So I'll put that down in the path, and then I will move just a little bit of ways away, not enough to provoke an attack of opportunity, but enough just to get me out of his range, and then I'll just move a little bit further away. Now if he tries to run close to me, he's going to get hit with those Spirit Guardians as well. With Astarion, I'm going to have him just move out of the way as well. He's going to go back kind of behind where Shadowheart is. We want her to be the one to intercept him as he comes closer to us if he decides to run our way. And then what we want to do is just to kind of hide out over here and then take a shot at him. But just like the Dark Urge, for some reason I could not get a shot on him. I think there's a little bit of a candlestick blocking the path of my arrow. So I can't do anything with him. I'm just going to pass it on over to Gale, who is going to use his magic missiles, and that will do a good chunk of damage to him as well. We'll use the most powerful version available to us, throw them all straight into Flesh, and that will weaken him pretty well. And then I want to run away with him just to get far away so that Flesh will try to go after a close by ally. The reverberation stacks that I got from casting Magic Missile was enough to knock him down, so I can have the spiritual weapon attack him, and the Guardian of Faith can't do anything, so it passes its turn. Now over to the Dark Urge. I'm going to have him move forward a little bit just so that I can now have a good line of sight on him. I'll be hiding and then attack from there, so I'll do good damage. Now Flesh only has 7 health left. Let's attack him with the offhand range attack and bring him down to only 3 health left. Now I can just pass the turn over to Shadowheart. She's just going to run forward, letting those Spirit Guardians get the kill, and we will get a Shadowheart inspiration point called Acolyte, those for whom the bell tolled, and another 95 experience for that. So we've completely eliminated all of these enemies, thus preventing a future large ambush against us. So we're all good there. Now let's go around and do some looting. We can go over toward the north side. There's going to be a big vault door that normally has a lockpicking check of 30, which would be almost impossible for us. But instead we can have Gale use knock on it, which will automatically unlock it for us, and now we can just simply walk right inside the door. There's going to be 3 chests in here. Let's start with the right one. That gives us the Callous Glow Ring. The one in the middle will give me another Infernal Iron and some other valuables, including the Scroll of Dominate Person. And finally, the last one is going to give me some more scrolls and some money. So let's grab all of that, and then we're going to head out into the main room where we fought everyone. everyone. Let's continue along the path. There's going to be a gilded chest along the way. So let's open that up and see what's inside. Just some more valuables and the Arrow of Arcane Interference. Let's keep going inside here. There's another chest over here, this rustic chest that we can grab with some crafting materials. And if you jump up high here, then there's actually another chest hidden up at the top. So let's open this one up. It's a gilded chest that has some more money and some other crafting materials as well. We can hop back down, and then we want to go over toward the far west side of the room. There's going to be a heavy chest way up at the top right corner, and we can open that up. We get some more gold as well as a potion of healing. Let's go down, and then we're going to hug the far wall as we go down, and we'll find another heavy chest in the bottom here. This one has some more alchemy ingredients for us, so not super necessary. Let's head on out into the main area where we did all the fighting. We can start looting bodies. Most of them have absolutely nothing on them. However, I did search the area and I found a reconstituted duelist who happened to have a little bit of money on him and a gold ring that we can sell. If you loot Flesh's body, you don't really get anything good, so you can skip that, but you do want to go and loot Balthazar's body. He has the Circle of Bones, which is good if you have a lot of undead allies. We don't really have any of those, so we'll grab it, but we're probably not going to put it to use at any point. Now we're going to head out of this big area where we fought everything. We'll continue heading toward the east, and when you get down by where that waypoint is, we're going to turn over toward the left. There are 3 trials within the Gauntlet of Shar that we need to pass, and I'll show you the easiest way to pass all of them. So starting off, let's head down the stairs, and then we're going to turn into the first door here. We can open up the bulky door, and then we're going to run straight inside into the soft step trial. On the other side of the room is a sacrificial bowl, so let's interact with it.
The bowl contains an ancient rust-colored bloodstain. It forms a neat disc, as if spilled calmly and willingly.
This is one of Lady Shar's trials. Allow me. It's important.
As you wish. The doors to the trial open, but what we want to do first is just to quick save the game, and then we're going to switch it on over to Astarion. He's going to handle this one for us. Make sure that you split him off from the rest of the group so that he can work solo, and then go stand over kind of in the corner behind the big pillar here and activate Umbral Shroud. It works better if you're standing. I couldn't get it to work while I was kneeling down. Then just run through the rightmost door all the way to the end of the hallway. There's going to be a button to push on the right hand wall, so push that. That will lower the wall in front of you. Continue running straight ahead and then go through the door at the back. Go over toward the left, and then you'll see that there's a wrought iron gate that you can lockpick here. Luckily, Astarion is very good at lockpicking, so it's very easy to pass this level 10 skill check. Once that's done, we're going to open up that wrought iron gate and go through, and there's going to be something right ahead of you called an Umbral gem. Let's pick that up, and then you'll see that we can also use the Umbral transporter to automatically bring us back to the beginning of the trial area, where we can reunite with our friends. We'll get the team back together, and then we're going to head on out of here. So that's 1 of 3 trials completed without any effort whatsoever. We're going to go out of here, turning toward the left, and go down the hall just a little ways, and there's going to be another door on the left-hand side. Before you go in, make sure that you separate the Dark Urge from the rest of your party. We want to be able to go in solo with just the Dark Urge. Leave everyone else in the hallway. That's very important. Now open up the bulky door and go on inside. This is the same trial. Before you activate the sacrificial bowl, take off all of your weapons and armor. You want to be completely naked. You can leave your underwear on for this, but all of the good stuff that provides you any sort of advantages or bonuses, anything like that, take it all off, because we want to cause our doppelganger in the next area to be basically naked like this, so that he won't be able to do anything to us. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and activate that sacrificial bowl.
The bowl bearing the stains of an ancient blood offering.
Spill some of your blood in the bowl. So when you do that, the game calculates what enemy you'll have to face in the next room. By going in solo and by being naked, we only have to fight one enemy who has really no advantage here. Now let's just go ahead and put on all of our equipment again. I'm just going to skip through this to the end to save you from that. It's just the same stuff that we've been wearing for most of the game at this point. With all of our equipment back on, let's quickly save the game so that just in case something goes wrong in the next room, we can come right back here. Let's go through the westmost door, and then what we want to do is go over toward the left side. Let's crouch down at the base of these stairs and start sneaking our way up toward the top. There's going to be a perception check along the way. If you pass it, you'll notice that there's an ambush waiting for you, but if you fail it like me, you'll have to change the tactic just a little bit. But we're going to stay crouched all the way up to the very top of this area. If you had noticed that there was an ambush, you'll see the enemy up here waiting for you, but as you can see, there's no one here. So instead, we're going to come up and we're going to interact with the brazier up here. We're going to use that to extinguish it, and right around that time is when the enemy will actually reveal itself to us. As soon as you use the brazier, you want to head back toward the camera, toward the west side of the room. That way the enemy won't be able to see you when he spawns in. We're going to come over toward the bottom of the stairs, and then what we want to do is use a sneak attack ranged against him. Every time we initiate combat with him, he will be surprised, giving us an automatic critical hit. Now, while it may be tempting to use something like your sneak attack, you would have to be hiding, and that would use both your bonus action and your main action. So instead, what I want to do is just to attack him using my offhand ranged attack, and that way I'll get a critical hit with this, but also I'll still have my normal action remaining. From here, what I'm going to do is use my normal hide ability. This is something that every single character has. So use that, and then we're going to go over toward the right side. We're going to go down the stairs and just around the corner so that there's a little bit of a wall separating us from him. What he's going to do is try to run over by where he thinks we are. That goes to the image. He'll try to detect our presence, but won't be able to find anyone over here. And then he's going to look around, but he can't see us thanks to being behind that little wall. Now he's going to return to his normal position. We are going to go right back where we were and just repeat that process. Hit him with a sneak attack ranged. That will initiate combat. Then we're going to use our offhand range attack to do some guaranteed damage to him with that critical hit. Now we have to use our normal hide ability, and then we'll sneak down around the corner here on the stairs. We just have to do that a few times until he's dead. It's a very safe method for getting through this without ever seeing him. Now, normally if you were playing a character that wasn't a monk, you wouldn't have to worry so much about him, but because he's a monk, he can do a lot of damage to me just punching without having any weapons equipped. So that's why I'm doing it this way, but if you were playing another like warrior or paladin type of character and the enemy was completely stripped down, you wouldn't really have to worry about that. You could just kind of take them head on, but I don't have that luxury having that monk subclass. It's going to just give him too much of an opportunity to kill me. So when the enemy is very low on health, you don't have to sneak around anymore like that. I'm just going to attack him normally from here, and then I should be able to take him out. Here we have another Dark Urge inspiration point called Haunted One Self-Flagellation for defeating yourself inside the trial. Now what we're going to do is just go ahead. We can grab the Umbral gem off the ground, but we can also look around. On the ground in the same spot is a ring called Killer's Sweetheart. Once per long rest, when you kill an enemy, the next attack roll is an automatic critical hit. So that's something that you can grab if you want to. I passed on it, but feel free to pick that up if you want to. Let's use the Umbral transporter to take us back to the entryway area to this trial. Then we just have to head out into the hallway with the rest of our party members. We'll regroup with them and then start heading toward the left. That will be toward the north. And then we're going to circle around the staircase going all the way down. And this will take us down into where the third trial is, which is actually a whole lot easier than what I made it look like in the first playthrough that I did of this game. If you watch that one, there's a very simple method to get through this. So let's start by heading down and through the doors on the west side of this room. It'll take you into the Faith Leap trial. Just walk straight ahead and there's going to be the ancient altar to interact with.
Another bowl bearing the stains of an ancient blood offering.
Another trial. Allow me, please.
Go on. After the scene with the ancient altar, we just want to make a quick safety save just in case something goes wrong here, but it probably won't. Let's now take the Dark Urge and separate him from the rest of the group so he's going solo. Then we're going to turn the camera all the way up so it's a top-down perspective. Let's push in the left analog stick so we can change our movement style. Move the cursor way toward the west until you're kind of right in the middle of this area, a few feet from the actual altar that we're going to. When you lock that in, your character will follow the invisible path and you'll get all the way to where you need to be. So let them run, and then when they stop, then all you have to do is to choose to jump over the rest of the gap, and then you'll be on the platform where you need to grab the last Umbral gem. So let's grab that, and then we also get an inspiration point called Acolyte in Her Footsteps for Shadowheart, with another 95 experience. We'll use the Umbral Transporter to head back toward where the rest of our party is waiting. We'll regroup with them, and then we're good to go on to the next area. Let's leave this room and then go over toward the right side after climbing up the stairs. This will take us over to the Silent Library. We're once again going to go in solo with the Dark Urge. Because of his ability to do sneak attacks and also turn invisible, it makes this a lot easier to get through this. It's going to be kind of the same method that we've used before by using sneak attacks, hiding, initiating combat, and then repeating that process. As we sneak our way into the Silent Library, we want to go over toward the right side. That way we can get close enough to this enemy over here that we can use a sneak attack range. This will initiate combat, and also all the enemies are surprised, and that will give us automatic critical hits when we use our follow-up sneak attack range, eliminating the enemy, turning us invisible, and allowing us to run away from the scene of the crime. We want to get all the way over to the other side while the enemies are still surprised, and then we're going to head over all the way against the wall. And then we just want to hide out over here so that the enemy isn't able to find us when they start to look through here. You may have noticed that there's going to be an Umbral Tremor in the bottom of the room. That's just going to summon in more guards, but we're not going to attack that directly. Instead, we're just going to take out the guards after they've spawned in. So we just want to only focus on attacking guards, and then the Umbral Tremor will disappear on its own a little bit later on. You'll see that all the guards are going to dash toward where they believe that I am, with that ghostly image on the ground, and we just have to hang out over in the side here. They're really not going to be able to see us as we hide in very heavily obscured darkness. We don't want to attack on our turn just because that would screw up our sequence, so instead we're going to just pass the turn and let the enemy finish their search for where we are. They'll dash over and then they'll try to find us using Detect Hidden Presence. They won't find anything, and then they're going to go back on their merry way. As they walk away slowly, this is a good time for us to actually get in our next sneak attack. So prepare to do that while the enemy walks ever closer. You'll need them to be within range, so you do have to wait a little bit for them to get close enough for that. If they don't get all the way into your range like what this one is, then what you'll want to do is to stay sneaking and then just go over as close as you can to them. They won't be looking up the stairs at all, and that gives you a good opportunity just to move over toward the staircase, and then you can line up your shot from there. we're going to basically do the same process over and over again. Attacking the enemy down below, it will initiate a surprise, we'll attack them again, that should be enough to kill them, we'll hide, or if we're invisible, we'll just run away over to the corner, and we'll do that over and over until all of these enemies are defeated. So this one's eliminated, now we're invisible, we'll run away, and we'll repeat that process. I'm going to speed it up for you and not talk through the whole thing just so you can see it actually play out, but there's no reason for me to explain the thing a ton of times when I've already done it now. Alright, now there's only one enemy left. He's way in the far southwest corner of this area. So let's just head over there and then we're going to take him out. So you can see him standing up there all alone. He's not able to see us though, so we're going to sneak around here and then we're going to get right behind him and we're going to use another sneak attack range to do some good damage to him. Once again, we're going to be back into surprise mode, so we'll hit him with another sneak attack range and that should be enough to finish him off. Now all the enemies have been eliminated. We're going to get our party back together. They're going to run over toward us. There's one very important item that we need from this room, so head back up the stairs and then go over toward the left side. Over here there are two bookcases. The one on the left contains, number one, a trap, so make sure that you disarm it, but number two, it contains a book that we want to grab. The trap has a skill check of 14, very easy for Astarion to take out with all of his bonuses. So let's do that, and then we're going to grab the book from this row of books. It's going to be called Teachings of Loss, the Night Singer. You want to actually take that book into your possession. Don't just read it, but actually take it with you. And then we're going to head down toward the far west side of the room. There's a large iron portcullis ahead of us, and instead of trying to lockpick it, I'm just going to go to Gale once again. He'll use his knock ability in order to open it up for us, and then we'll be able to go through without an issue. Once unlocked with that knock spell, we'll just open it up and then we're going to go inside. Don't worry about any of the traps in this area, just go straight ahead until you find the Riddle of the Night, the pedestal. We'll use that, and then what we want to do is go into our inventory. Whoever has the book that we just picked up, we're going to find that, and then we're going to insert the Teachings of Loss, the Night Singer, into the Riddle of the Night. When that happens, then it's going to open up the far wall. Let's run through the opening, and there's going to be a spear on the pedestal just in front of us. So let's grab the Spear of Night, and then you can go just past that. There's going to be a gilded chest that you can open up. Let's grab the Dark Justiciar helmet. While we're obscured, the number that we need to roll to get a critical hit while attacking is reduced by 1, and that effect can stack. There's actually a lot of things that will work with that, such as the Knife of the Undermountain King, so that's kind of a cool thing to get more critical hits. Now we're going to go over toward the far east side of the room. We're going to exit the Silent Library by running up all those steps in front of us, and that is basically the Gauntlet of Shar. Now we just have to go through and actually do the Night Singer part of it. So as we get out of here, we'll turn over toward the right side, and we're going to get to the far end of the platform here. Make sure that everyone is standing on the platform. If you need to, switch it over into turn-based mode. That will allow you to more precisely move everyone onto the platform. If they're left behind, very disastrous things could happen, because when you start to come back down to retrieve them, they can actually get squished and instantly killed. So once everyone's all on board, then you can use the lever in the middle that will start to raise you up. If you're still in turn-based mode, it will actually stop halfway up, and you've got to keep cycling through all of your characters to go all the way up, or you could just put it back into the normal non-turn-based mode to just allow that to go up by itself. Okay, so now what we're going to do is to exit this platform, and we're going to go forward and then over toward the left. That will take us back toward the entrance to the Gauntlet of Shar, and then what we want to do is to head over toward the left. We'll go down the stairs, and there's going to be an altar up ahead. Whoever has your Umbral gems that you've been collecting, they need to be the ones to go over and interact with this thing. It's called the Ancient Altar. We need to insert one of the Umbral gems that we've collected so far, and then once it's inserted, it's going to summon up a big platform for us and also start a cutscene.
Wait.
What's wrong?
Nothing. Nothing's wrong at all.
What's going on? Tell me.
It's fine. Really. I just feel we're on the right track. I'm right where I need to be. Under Lady Shar's gaze.
Alright, let's go over toward the north. We're going to get all of our party members onto this platform, and then on the right side there's a traversal gem that we're going to activate that will bring the whole platform down to a lower level. Now that we're down here, let's go forward, and we're going to use the Ancient Altar once again to insert the remaining 3 Umbral gems that we should have in our inventory. You want to make sure that they're all in the same person's inventory, otherwise it won't work. Now that those have all been successfully inserted, it's going to open the door on the south end of the room. Let's go forward all the way to the end until we can interact with the entrance to the Shadowfell. When you do that, it's going to start a cutscene for you.
This must be where initiates undertook their final preparations.
You show great
The end is near.
potential. Do not falter now. One more test, Heaven Knights.
This must be the last step. I need to pray. Only by Lady Shar's grace did we even make it this far.
Leave her to her prayers.
All right. No need to dash in ahead of me. I'm ready.
Onwards then. This is the point of no return for Act 2, so make sure that you do a save if you ever want to come back and do anything in Act 2 before this point. Now let's continue on into the Shadowfell entrance.
You are ready. Or so you hope.
Here's the confirmation of the point of no return. Let's just say yes to this and then go on in.
Lady Shar. I can feel her all around. This is her domain. This is the Shadowfell.
If we hadn't already killed Balthazar, then he would show up here, and then he'd go down to the bottom, and that's where we'd have a very large fight. So I'm very glad that we took care of them early, because now we just get to go to the bottom of this area without any problems at all. We don't have to fight anyone. We can just go straight to the Nighsong and then advance through the rest of this area, and then we'll be done with this whole section. So I'm just going to run down to the bottom here, and then we'll go over and talk to the Nighsong.
Lady Shar's will shall be done, as sure as night will fall. Lady Shar's will shall be done, as sure as night will fall.
I have felt you coming. The first in a century. You, who have come to seek the praise of your wicked goddess. You, who have come to drive a dagger through my heart.
Not a dagger, a spear. My Lady Shar's spear. Her fate is mine to seal. Let me handle this.
The fate you seal is your own. To be a Dark Justiciar is to turn your heart from everything but loss. You will know no love, no joy, only servitude, until of course your mistress inevitably discards you. And there is much she does not tell you. A terrible blood price that may extend beyond my own death.
You feel Shadowheart bristling. This is important to her. You may yet have the chance to dissuade her from doing her duty, but not without risk to your bond. And Nighsong is not blind to your conflict. Behind that raging heart is the restless beat of one who knows too well that her fate hangs in the balance.
Is this truly what you want?
Of course, why wouldn't it be? This is my purpose.
Do as you must.
Well, well, well. What's that I sense? A spear intended for my heart? Empowered by your goddess, I. Empowered to kill the child of a god. Do you know what I am, little assassin? For I know you. A lost child. Frightened by wolves in the dark.
What did you say?
Much has been promised to you, hasn't it? But what has been taken from you? What do you know of your own heart? Your own life? I sense more in you than you know.
Whatever you think you know of me won't matter once I become who I'm meant to be.
She knows something about you. Spare her and see what she has to say.
I can't believe I just did that. Lady Shar will disown me. What will happen to me?
Not what will happen, What will you do? Your past is not yet lost. Your future is not yet fixed. Lay a hand on me in friendship, not quite Sharon. And I will fight the battle that has been waiting for me this last century. Then, oh then, we will have much to discuss. Our Lady of Silver, hear me. She who guides the Moon Maiden Selena, mother of the so-called Nighsong. The Nighsong is no more! You have given me a great gift, little warrior. Don't you find it oh so curious that you would spurn your dark lady? Perhaps you feel a stirring of the truth already. But that will come later. There is a battle yet to be fought. You have done what we feared was impossible. You have released me from a century of sorrow. Your power is great. So too must be your weapon. You must choose what you will wield. And the Moon Maiden will provide. Thus I have said. Thus will it be so. Are you ready?
For my weapon? Naturally.
Oh, and it shall be yours. And then, we're going to kill Ketheric Thorn.
We need to leave. Lady Shar won't stand for us to be here, not after what we did.
Alright, let's get out of here.
I'm not sure there's a place that's far enough away for me to go. Lady Shar must be angry. But there's only silence. Let's get out of here, please. Whatever's coming, I don't want to be in the heart of the Shadowfell when it finds me. The Nighsong will be headed for Moonrise Towers. We'd better get there and see what she's unleashed against Ketheric Thorn.
Well chosen, Shadowheart.
Alright, let's get our rewards. So starting off, we get the Sage Emblem of the Moon Maiden inspiration point for Gale. We also get a Shadowheart inspiration point called Acolyte Ceremonia Alarum. In addition to those inspiration points, we also get a new weapon. This is called Moonlight Glaive. It does bonus radiant damage, and also it shines with a glowing light in a radius of 6 meters. So go ahead and grab that, and then we're going to continue on. There's going to be a portal ahead of us. All we have to do is run through that portal. That will take us out of the Shadowfell and out of the Gauntlet of Shar, putting us back outside the mausoleum entrance. Be patient for a few seconds, and then the cutscene with Shadowheart will start to play.
I thought I was done for. I thought perhaps I might have been dead. This is all like some sort of terrible dream. But it's real, isn't it? I stood before the Nighsong. I heard Lady Shar's words. And I failed her. Worse than failed her, I defied her. Just because of what that Aasimar said. I tried to leave, but Shar blocked me. Punished me for failing her. I thought I knew the limit of pain that the incurable wound could inflict, but I had no idea. It felt like I was suffering the agony of 1,000 people all at once. My blood was boiling, my hair was on fire. I thought I'd claw my own face off with the pain. But then she released me. Banished me, more like. She said I was an outcast. That all of her children would know me and revile me.
Shadowheart looks distraught, abandoned by her goddess and all former allies. And as for her divine magic, admitting who empowers her now may break her spirit for good.
If it's any consolation, I think you did the right thing.
You're lucky to have such confidence. Me. I think the full price of what I've done has yet to reveal itself. I'm a target to Lady Shar's followers now. Nighsong promised she'd tell me something about myself. I need to speak with her as soon as I can. What she said to me back in the Shadowfell about the wolves, that's no coincidence. She took flight to hunt down Ketheric Thorm. All I can do is help hasten his demise, and hope that answers soon follow.
That's all we have to say to her for now, so let's just choose to leave.
When the chance arises, I must speak to Nighsong again. Whatever she claims to know, it may just help me make sense of everything.
And that is going to do it for part 20. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. This was a much longer video than most of the other ones in this series, but I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give me a like and also comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more in this series. The next part is going to be a return to Moonrise Towers and going through the Mind Flayer colony underneath. And maybe we'll even get close to wrapping up Act 2. We'll have to see how it all plays out. I'll see you soon for part 21. Until then, thanks for watching and have a good day.